You've heard the phrase, the root of all evil never gets into debt. It's here at EcoNews where we'll tell you about the 5 ways the rich make money from debt. Yes, just as you heard, the rich make money through debt. So, if you like this kind of content, give us a like and subscribe, activating the notification bell so you don't miss more content like this. Now, let's start the video. Debt is slavery. That's true to a certain extent, because when you're drowning in debt, your life is over. As you try to pay your debts, they don't wait for you. They grow day by day. Since no one lends money for free, there is always interest. The United States has embraced this. Total U.S. consumer debt is nearly $15 trillion, which makes the average household debt over $5,300. U.S. GDP is just over $21 trillion, which means the entire economy is made up of that. But I have some good news for you. That's not always bad. It's an unpopular opinion because most of the debt we have is bad debt. You probably have some credit card debt, car loan, or maybe student debt, and you're thinking, it will take me decades to pay off all these debts. How can this be a good thing? You just need to understand how all of this can be turned into passive income. Let's take a look at how people with deep pockets still often use that to make even more money. It may sound a little confusing how someone with a lot of money uses debt to generate money. It's a powerful tool if you know how to use it. And in this video you'll find out how rich people use it to make even more money. Number 1. Most trading is based on that. It may sound a little controversial because borrowing money to start a business is a horrible idea. But there are businesses, especially traditional ones, where using that is your best option. Let's say you want to sell pens. It's a very common product and there's almost always a demand for it. Ideally, you would fly to China, find a factory that produces that type of pen with good quality, and at the right price you would buy a container of pens, ship them to the United States, and distribute them to your customers. But today that's mostly done online through websites like Alibaba, unless you're dealing with more complicated products where you have to fly to that factory. But here's the catch. You don't really have to pay for the products to have the product first. Let me explain how in the last 50 years, China has become the factory of the world, producing literally everything. Thousands of factories work non-stop to be able to produce everything the world needs and to facilitate the sale. Most of these factories would gladly lend you their products in exchange for you paying them back at some point in the future. Of course, they would not lend to strangers, so you would have to build some kind of trust with them first. But that is how business has worked for the last 50 years. Once the customer sold the product in the US or anywhere else in the world, they would pay the factory back and borrow more. You basically tell the factory that you know how to produce it, so let me help you sell it. If I can sell it for anything more than this price, that will be my profit. If you're liking the video, leave us a comment regarding the topic and give us a like while you're at it. The next thing this strategy creates is that you are not tying your own money into this transaction. That's why selling is one of the best skills you can master. Number 2. Refinancing real estate debt is the best kind of debt because it's full of loopholes. If you don't have a mortgage, then you're paying extra taxes. Rich people always have multiple mortgages so they can get all those deductions. Remember, every dollar you're supposed to pay in taxes, but instead you save, is an extra dollar earned. So that's another way the rich get richer. But let me give you a more practical way. Rich people get rich from real estate. Let's say you saved $200,000, that's a lot of money. But if we're going to be honest, it's not much. You can't even buy a house. Of course you can't get a mortgage up to $800,000 since you have to make a 20% down payment. But here's the secret. Let's say you find a property that costs $500,000, is in bad shape, and needs some or maybe a lot of renovation. You've gone to a bank and got a mortgage by making a 20% down payment. Let's say you're going to spend about 10% of the total cost of the house to renovate it, or about $50,000. You went to your bank again, but this time to refinance your mortgage. When he got the first mortgage, the value of that property was barely $500,000 because it was in such bad condition that no one wanted to live there. But because he has renovated it, now people want to rent it. So the market value of that property, let's say, goes up to $700,000 like the first time. Let's say you're going to get an 80% mortgage, but 80% of $700,000 is $560,000. $400,000 of that money is going to go to your first bank that gave you the first mortgage. And let's deduct another $50,000 that you spent on the renovation, and you're going to be left with an extra $110,000. In total, you've made $110,000 using debt, and you're left with a property that you can rent out to build equity and generate passive income. Plus, you're going to avoid paying taxes because you have a mortgage. This is a very common practice among real estate investors. If you like this type of content, give us a like and subscribe to the channel by turning on the notification bell so you don't miss out on more content like this. Number 3. Hedge funds are made by the rage of the rich to make the rich richer, and they often use unpopular strategies. Mortal people like you and me, we do our best to predict which companies are going to grow and rise in value and invest our hard-earned money in the hope that these companies will shore up. But hedge funds often use a completely opposite strategy. They try to make money when companies go down or go bust, as was the case with the GameStop era. Although in that case, the internet challenged hedge funds and pushed them to lose more than $13 billion. But how do hedge funds make money on debt? Let's say you expect a certain stock to go down like Facebook, because you know that Apple, which produces the most popular smartphone, will announce next week that it will no longer let tracking apps like Facebook or Instagram track your online activity and make privacy their first priority, which will greatly damage Facebook's business model. So you pick up the phone and call your broker to borrow a single share of Facebook stock that costs, say, $100, and you instantly sell it on the open market for $100. Congratulations, you now have $100 in your pocket, but you still owe your broker one share of Facebook. Suppose you are right and next week the price of Facebook stock drops to $70. Use that $100 to get Facebook stock for $70 since the price dropped and return it to your broker and pocket the difference. Congratulations, you've made $30 on the one share drop. It sounds simple in theory, but it's extremely difficult and risky in practice. What if you're wrong? What if the price doubles overnight? You still have to return that one share of Facebook stock to your broker and pay interest on the loan of that share. Now you have to buy that stock back for $200 to return it to your broker. When you buy a stock and try to sell it, when it goes up, the most you can lose is the amount you invested, but not in the case of short selling. If the price keeps going up, your losses keep increasing. Futuristically, you can make unlimited losses since theoretically the stock price can go up indefinitely. But if you have 100 analysts working for you, you can make a fortune using this strategy. Number 4. Forex. In short, Forex is a market where currencies are traded. It makes international trading possible. You can use the US dollar in China. You have to buy Chinese yen to pay your employees, for example, in China. So there is a market where any person or company can go in and buy currencies, and based on different factors, these currencies fluctuate. For example, if the Federal Reserve raises interest rates, that will limit the supply of dollars in the market and make the dollar stronger against other currencies or vice versa. So if you can predict which currencies will go up or down, you can make a lot of money in this market. But what makes these markets so different from the rest is that for every dollar you use to trade Forex, you can borrow $100 more than if you trade using your $1,000. You can hold a position worth $100,000 if you end up making a small profit, like 1% will be a huge credit. Number 5. Borrowing money. As you can see, it's a powerful tool. Every successful business or entrepreneur uses that in a number of ways. especially if you have a proven business model. Borrowing money to finance purchase orders is something that virtually every company practices. So stop thinking in terms of all debt is bad. Of course, that's with high interest rates, like credit card debt is horrible. But to get a lower interest rate, you have to minimize the risks of lending your money. How do you do that? You build a payment history of a reliable borrower. There are billions, if not trillions, of dollars sitting in banks waiting for someone to borrow it. And even if there is no money, banks can create money out of thin air. These were the 5 ways the rich generate money through debt. If you liked the video, leave us a comment about it and give us a like. By the way, subscribe to the channel by activating the notification bell so you don't miss more content like this. See you in a future video.